Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Well, tonight we have a very important subject, and that subject is the protection of children who have been abused. Tonight I'm talking to Amanda Coetzee about her organization, Kuselo, which assists in providing a safe harbor for abused children in South Africa. Let me play you a short video which will give you a little bit of background to Kuselo. Now, if you have a look below this video in the description, you'll see the banking details for Kuselo. If you'd like to make a donation, please do. One of these subjects we're going to be talking about tonight is how difficult it is because of the impact of the lockdown in South Africa and how that's actually impacted funding for charities like Kuselo. I'm going to get our guest on now, Amanda Coetzee. Here we go. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. I can't hear you, Amanda. There's no sound. That's better. I heard you for a second there.
Now
I hear you. Now I hear you.
I'm well, and yourself?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. Alrighty. Now you're obviously on a mobile phone at the moment.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah. Are you able to put it on a stable base so that it doesn't move too much? Don't worry if you.
I'm
Don't
try.
You can't. Don't worry if you can't. It's just.
I'll try.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to try and wiggle it. Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm trying to angle it so I don't look too weird.
It's perfect. As it is now is perfect. That's
Okay, I just want to grab my documents, yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
We're all set. Now, Amanda,
Yes.
please, just to kick off the live stream, what is Kuselo?
Kuselo is basically a child protection service that cares for the needs of children that is in need of care and protection. Now, what that basically means is if a child is abused, abandoned, or neglected, we go out and we provide those 24-hour protection service as well as a place of safety for these children.
Right. Okay. And I guess in South Africa, there's a huge need for organizations like yours.
Definitely. We basically aid the welfare as well as our local police station with services like, for instance, now intervention programs. So if we get calls from the community stating that, a child is being suspected of any abuse or violence within the home, we go and make sure that that child is in need of care and protection. If they are, then we basically get hold of our local police stations, our welfare organizations that come out. And if there's a need for that child to be removed, those processes are then followed. The child is then placed into a place of safety or a care protection organization. And then, the case is then taken over criminally.
Right. Now, I guess the elephant in the room for organizations or charities like yours is the fact that during this COVID lockdown, there must have been a huge impact on, the way you get funding, and also the impact on families and children who are forced into lockdown and how that impacts the relationship between that family. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, what we found, people are very, very quick to say that if you do not have money, that is where child abuse comes from, but it's not. During lockdown, we noticed more that people do not know how to interact or how to even care for their children anymore. Lockdown has forced parents to actually spend time with their children, and it's come very apparent that children are so used to doing their own thing. Parents are working class people. When they come home at night, they have to work, they have to make food, do homework, whatever. So not much time is spent with the actual child. So lockdown has forced people to actually spend a lot of time with their kids. And this has caused kids to become rebellious because they've also got their own little issues and bullying and things like that at school. So that has caused a lot of problems, not just abuse so much, but rebellious children. And that is a huge concern, especially in the teens, because it's resulted them in, having behavioral issues, going onto drugs and things like that. So that has caused a lot of problems. But yes, funding is a huge problem because institutions and organizations like Kuselo is not funded by government at all. So we do not receive a single cent. We only rely on the community. And unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of companies were forced to close down. People have lost their jobs. So we are very, very non-funded, if I can call it that.
Yeah. Well, just to remind people watching, the link to Kuselo's bank account details are in the description below this video, so people can make donations there, which would be really appreciated. Now, you touch on the subject of government support or lack of government support. Do the government support organizations like yours in any way at all, apart from funding?
Not at all.
So they don't do anything?
No.
So,
No, that is unfortunately where the community has the misperception, is that especially an organization like Kuselo, people think we are government funded, we are government because we do a 24-hour response to child protection. People think that we are funded and we are getting salaries for what we do, but we do not. Kuselo is a non-profit. We do not get paid, we do not get funds in unless the community donates.
wow, it must be a huge encumbrance on your life running something like this, because the emotional roller coaster as well. How do you do it?
It's it is, but this is our passion. This is what we do. We do it because we've got commitment to children that is in need of care and protection, and we love what we do. If we get calls 24 hours a day, we jump in the cars and we go. My family is very, very involved. My daughter-in-law, my sister, my son, my hubby, everybody is involved with Kuselo. So, they run the safe house for me when I'm not able to be there, and they are committed 24 hours a day to these children. They literally stay on the property for hours and days on end without coming home.
Wow, that is you guys are really the unsung heroes. What you're doing is quite extraordinary. There's another lady I know in Pretoria. Her name's Amanda. Oh my gosh, Marlena, what's her name? There's another lady who does similar work to you. I just can't think of it. I think her organization is called Go Purple or something like that.
Yes.
You probably know her, but wow, she does fantastic work as well. Now, okay, so we've talked about the sort of things you do. How do children access Kuselo's services?
Especially in Boksburg, a lot of the kids know us because of all our intervention, our community outreach programs, because we also feed the community kids weekly. We go to the informal settlements, we feed houses, things like that. So the kids have become to know Kuselo as not just a place that removes kids or to be scared of. They know us in the community. So when they see our van, they will often just run up and just say, Auntie, I need food, please help, and then we go to those houses. But the kids also access our services through the schools because we work directly with the schools. We go in, we give talks, so the kids will always just check up on us. The same with the Facebook pages and WhatsApps. The kids see my, the Kuselo number on the van. So they will even just send me a WhatsApp to say, Auntie, you need to come to my house. There's things happening by my house, but I can't talk now. Things like that. So the kids are very, very quick to respond to those kind of things. And because they know me, they will come outright and just tell me what's going on in their homes. And that's where a lot of the investigation starts.
Right. My gosh! Look, I've been covering what's going on at white squatter camps, and they are just exploding right around the country. Do you have any involvement with them as well? Because that's a huge part of the wow.
Yes, we do not discriminate. A child is a child. And any child that is in need, whether it is clothing, bedding, food, whatever, we go and assist. So we are involved with quite a few of the local white informal settlements, but there is so much need out there that you can't cover everybody. During lockdown, we joined forces with a lot of organizations, and we actually fed it was almost like 500 to 1,000, well over 3,000 at some stages, people per day.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Look, I just think what's happening in South Africa is just heartbreaking.
It is.
And when I hear stories, in camps where women are selling their children because they're on drugs and stuff like that, it must be, you must have heard these stories.
Yeah. Look, it's very, very common. I know it sounds a terrible word to say, but people are watching TV and they think that it's just happening overseas, and it's not. It's right on your doorstep, right next door. And the saddest reality is that people don't want to go and report. these kind of cases or suspicions because of the lack of resources and how they are being treated in the communities by various officials and things like that. Child abuse is not a priority in South Africa anymore, and that is what makes our work even harder.
Yeah. What do you think when you see Ramaphosa and the fat cats going around with these big, huge security details? I think their budget, the ANC elite budget, which is paid for by the taxpayer, is something like 4.5 billion rand for security details for the guys at the top. When you think of that and you consider what's happening to children, what message would you have for Mr. Ramaphosa?
It is very, very sad because the budgets are worked out according to where the revenue can come in, that kind of thing. So if you look at budgets, it's been cut for residential care, irrespective of whether it is SPCAs, the elderly, and especially children. There is no money for residential care. And that is the saddest point because government wants to follow through on the American way of residential care, only for foster homes. And that is sad because in other countries, there is not a thing like squatter camps and things like that. Where here in South Africa, that is the hard reality. There must be institutions like residential care facilities, like what we here call as child and youth care centers, as the old orphanages, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There is no more money that gets paid out to these institutions. And more, a saddened reality of that is the foster care system. The cases are taking too long, and investigations into those foster care homes are taking too long. So these families withdraw from taking in these beautiful little kids from centers like ours. Yeah. So those kind of cases needs to be followed up. According to the Children's Act of South Africa, within 90 days, the courts have to decide the future of this child. But this is not what is happening in South Africa. Cases are pending for years, and this poor child is left in a facility like ours, and there's no follow-ups. Nothing is being done. The cases are just being postponed, and this poor child could have had a loving forever home, but this is not what's happening. These poor kids are staying in centers, and that it becomes to a point where one day when they are removed, it's secondary removal once again because their child becomes our little kids. They trust us, they love us, yeah. And then they think that we gave them away again. Yeah. So that is the saddest reality of what's going on here.
Wow. Look, I just look at, I think it's Walter Sisulu's daughter who until recently ran the Department of Social Security. Am I correct in that?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And here you've got one of these fat cats who's now posturing to become president of South Africa. She's sort of throwing her hat in the ring. And what she did to the Department of Social Security was she destroyed the bloody place. I mean, it doesn't stick. It doesn't do what its name suggests. It doesn't do anything for people, does it?
No. That is the saddest part is that big, huge organizations like CYCCs, like the Children's Home, yeah. They get all the huge contracts. They get all the huge fundings. But little organizations like ourselves that is making a difference, that's going out there doing the jobs and looking after the children, we do not get a cent. There's so much red tape in getting a place like Kuselo registered. And at the end of the day is we do not get the support from the government, not at all.
Now, when you mentioned CYCCs, is there a colour involved in the decision-making as to who gets grants? And I'm talking about a racial aspect.
I would hope not. I would really hope not. because at the end of the day is people shouldn't walk in with the view of, the ethnic group or the religion or anything like that, because these are just children. No child deserves to be in an institution, which I fully agree. But unfortunately, there is cases where it necessitates for a child to be in a facility like Kuselo, because there is no parents. There is no parents that qualify, or family members that qualify to take care of these kids, and where do you take them at the end of the day? They deserve, all the love and the respect and the dignity. So that is what Kuselo teaches them. If they can just walk out with one little thing, and that is love. And that is what they get at Kuselo, is all the love in the world to help them to overcome their trauma. So if there's anybody out there that can just say, funding needs to be given to institutions, to foster parents, to CYCCs, they need to make this happen, because majority of the money goes to sports, arts and culture. But what about your children? They are being forgotten. They are really the forgotten of South Africa.
Yeah, look, I totally get that. And I find it also quite heartbreaking that you hear of cases where these supermarkets who give away food which is past its date and stuff like that, and they only give it to black charities. They won't give it to white charities. I've heard that from several people. And it's just, look, people are people, for God's sake. Let's just talk about your organization and the types of things that you come across. You must see the most appalling types of abuse of children.
We do, we see, I see, because of the services that I do as a registered child protection officer, we see, murders, rapes, severe rapes, child abuse, child neglect. It is really, really sad what is going on out there. But the saddest reality is that these cases are not being followed through. They are not getting the justice for these children. And the system is failing these children because the cases are not, seeing the end result, in the sense that perpetrators are prosecuted. Even with their placement orders, that is taking so long. So the system in both ends are failing these poor kids, and so much injustice is being done to these kids.
Yeah, wow, it's just absolutely appalling. Now, what services do Kuselo provide to children?
Well, we first and foremost, we provide the 24-hour child protection service, which, as I explained earlier, if the phone rings and they say there's a child, even if it's 2:00 in the morning, that is possibly abused, we do that kind of thing. Roadside assistance, if there's an accident and there's a child, we go out and we make sure everything is done. If a child is raped, we make sure that the child is assisted at the police stations, that they are transported to the rape trauma centers where they are treated with love and dignity. Those are the kind of services within the 24-hour care that we do. Then we've also got our residential care facility. At the moment, we've got 13 children from the ages of 0 to 6 that is placed at the residential care. Now, Kuselo's residential care is, while their cases are pending for 90 days, but the courts may extend for another 90 days, which means it should not exceed 180 days while their cases are pending. Then we've also got the counseling that we provide to families, to children, and things like that. But also we've also got our HWM mediations, our family law side of it, where we assist parents that are going through divorce so that the child is not affected or so severely traumatized by the separation or divorce that we can assist parents to get to an amicable agreement between both parents in the sense of visitations and things like that, so that the child is not too much traumatized. And then lastly, what we're very, very proud of is our eye care program, where we actually assist not children in the safe house, but children in the community that is in need of care, like, blankets, clothing, any kind of service. Even if they are being bullied at school, we go to the schools, we try and sort those problems out for them. If parents are not able to put children into schools because they do not have the funds, Kuselo goes and advocates for their child, for enrollment, for school clothes and things like that.
Yeah. Now, do you find that parents today, we did touch on this a little bit earlier about how there seems to be a loss of contact, that bond between parents and children. Have you found in the modern family that this has become a real issue?
Yes, most definitely. Kids grow up in their bedrooms on the cell phones, and parents are basically doing their thing that they need to do. I'm not, blaming any parent, because today has become hard. You work, basically, some parents a 24-hour shift, so you only get, 12-hour shift. So you come home, you need to cook, you need to clean, you need to do everything. So there is no one-on-one time with their kids. So at the end of the day, that child then gets information from their friends. They sit on TikTok, they go on YouTube, they get all the wrong informations from the wrong places, instead of having that family time and family bonding time with parents. And parents should make the time to be with their kids. Parents should listen to their kids and not expect the schools to sort out their issues, because the school has only got a certain responsibility up to a certain stage, but it's ultimately up to the parent to either do corrective behavior therapy and counseling and whatever in your own homes, and not expect the schools to do it, because that is where a lot of the kids have now gone over to drugs and behavioral issues, because they are not getting it at home.
Right. Now, how many children does Kuselo actually care for, or basically get people to care for? How many children in total do you have?
Well, we've got 13 at the moment, but we registered to house and care for 18 kids.
Right.
At the same time, kind of thing. We are only 4 staff members, but we need to employ more staff to care for these kids, because to look after these kids 24 hours a day, it is a huge committed job, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
Because, people think, what is so hard of looking after kids, because they eat, they go to sleep, they go to school, whatever the case is. But they don't realize the hard work that goes behind that, in the sense that the child can have a breakdown. They need to be educated while they are at Kuselo. So Evie Kram, who is my daughter-in-law, she also does the Early Childhood Development Program, which is our ECD foundation phase. So the kids are at least educated while they are at Kuselo. And that is also in itself a lot of hard work, because you need to counsel that child. You need to, most oftenly, 90% of the kids that come into Kuselo, has never slept in a bed before. So just putting them into a bed to go sleep, that is a huge task. So a lot of the kids, because of cultural diversity, some of them eat with their hands. They've never had the privilege of eating with a knife and fork. A lot of them have never bathed in a bath before, because they only used to bathing in little buckets. So all of these things is you've got to teach that child from day one on how to just live life, on what is, if you can call it, normalcy, to be in a bath, to eat with a knife and fork. So that takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment from the staff.
You must see some huge changes in children once you've had them for a while, because clearly the lives they lead is appalling. So I guess one of the positives is seeing children actually come alive, because they now feel that they're cared for.
It is. Child protection service is a very unrewarding job. Now, when I say unrewarding, the child won't thank you, the parents won't thank you, for what you've done for this child, because you've just removed that child,
Yeah.
But if you go to work every day, that little person comes in there, they've got no emotions, their eyes are grey, there's nothing. And one day you walk in there and this child is bubbling, they're talking. Just to give you one little example, we had a little girl that was with us over 7 months. She never spoke a word since the day that she came in. We've got a little emotional service animal that we brought in, because that's also part of one of our little programs. And the little dog just licked her on her foot. She started giggling, and for the first time in 9 months, she started talking. Now she's able to talk sentences, which allowed her now to go up for foster care. So it's those little things that are our reward and that keeps us going and let us do the kind of work that we do.
Wow, that's quite amazing. So when we talk about what makes you passionate about working with children, I guess a lot of it is seeing those breakthroughs with kids who have just have been given such a terrible time. Do you want to tell us about what else makes you passionate about working with children?
You know, sorry, to be the person that we are, I think, it takes a special kind of person, not just for me personally, but also like for my family, my sister Rika and Ebby that works with these children every day. I always commend to people about them, saying that they are the ones that needs all the recognition, because I cannot do what they do, in the sense, staying with their child 24 hours a day, being there when their child has the breakdowns, and often these kids are rape victims, so you've got to handle them with special care. Just bathing them, just looking after them, building mutual trust, that kind of thing. I can't do what they do. I'd rather go out into the community. I serve the community. I do what I need to do, but I need to stress to the people that behind the scenes, they deserve all the recognition, and they've got the passion, and that is what makes us do what we do, is to see the difference in that child's life. Because when I won't say I'm privileged, but when I go out and we're on a case and you see the background environment where the child came from, whether the child has severely been neglected, the home circumstance is not suitable for that child, and they are placed into, say, Kuselo CYCC, we are part and parcel of watching them grow and blossom and overcome trauma. And then we are so blessed to be a part of the process where they are placed into a forever home, and seeing them grow in that forever home and seeing how they fit in and the family fits in with them. That is what makes us do what we do.
Right. Now, you've said you've got 13 children at the moment at Kuselo. How many children have you actually moved on to foster care homes where they're now blossoming underneath a family that's looking after them? Approximately how many children?
Well, we did a survey last year of just checking on how many kids we've had pass through our doors.
Yeah.
And it's not just children that are placed into forever homes, because a lot of these kids are, say, a 24-hour guardian care, so that we can find families for them, say, the next morning. If just to give an example, say, for instance, mommy is, say, arrested for shoplifting and she's got the baby with her. We can't find a family member immediately, so the child is placed at Kuselo for 24-hour guardian care until we can find the suitable family member that can look after them until mommy or daddy is released and things like that. So for the last 4 years, we've had over 1,000 kids.
Wow. So what we're actually saying here, if it wasn't for your charity, Kuselo, your non-profit organization, those 1,000 kids would have probably been, living in the streets and had no hope at all.
Yes, I won't just say just living on the streets, but, children's facilities, because of the lack of finances, a lot of CYCCs have closed down because they're not receiving funding, so they can't continue anymore. So the ones that we do have left is so underfunded and so overcrowded that they are not able to take in more little faces, 2:00 in the morning or on weekends. So we fill that gap in to say that we are there. We are an emergency placement center between an urgent removal and a permanent placement. So we make space. we do make space and make sure that that child is at least in safeguard care until they are placed out.
Now, you're based in Gauteng.
Yes, in Boksburg North.
Now, do you have like branches in KZN or Western Cape, or is it just the one organization in Gauteng?
Well, originally we started Kuselo in 2015 in King Williamstown. It's a small little town in the Eastern Cape area,
Right.
and that is why it's called Kuselo, which is a Xhosa word that means to protect.
Right.
Those services are still continuing in the sense that with the safe parks and with Easy Bindi and things like that, we try and assist as much as possible. Now, what the safe parks does is the children access those programs in the afternoons and they leave again. But in 2017, we came up through to Gauteng, and I saw the need here to rather establish a emergency placement center for Kuselo, because that is where the need was, and that is how Kuselo was started, as an emergency placement center, as a CYCC.
Right. Now, okay, so let's say, for example, I live in Cape Town. How can I get involved with Kuselo? Because people who are listening to this won't necessarily live in your area.
Yes, look, we are always looking for fundraisers, because for the simple fact is, if you look at the busy lifestyle I have, that, we are 24-hour service that we provide, as well as the managers and the carers at the safe house, they also do a 24-hour service. It leaves us very, very little time to fundraise. And that is why we are at a point where we are financially struggling very, very badly, because we do not have much time in the day to fundraise. So if we can get people on board that can assist with fundraising, just advocating for Kuselo and for child protection services, that would it would really help. It would really help.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to ask Marlena, who you've met and spoken to. She looks after our live streams, and I ask Marlena occasionally to do this. I'm going to ask her if she can put in 1,000 Rand on my behalf into your bank account.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
And if people who are listening, if they are able to help, can they please also perhaps match that? Or look, this is such an important thing. And we obviously, Loving Life can't help everybody, but I mean, we're talking about young kids here. Okay, so basically what you're saying is that you're looking for fundraisers who are around the country who can come in and provide funding to keep you going. What are your costs? I mean, talk about your budget, looking after 13 kids.
The budget is not very big, because we try and keep it as a minimal, because funders, we've lost a lot of funders and donors. Even donors that used to drop off nappies and things like that in the day, we've lost a lot of donors and funders. So we're looking at our
Amanda, you've lost those because of COVID-19 lockdowns, I take it.
Yes. Yeah, because a lot of businesses have closed down. A lot of people, as they say, charity starts at home. So if people can't even look after their own families, you can't expect them to look after other people's children. So we've lost a lot of people that used to come day to day and just bring off nappies and formula milks and things like that. So we are really in dire need of normal donations, whether it's food, even second-hand clothing for the kids that are in the safe house. Day-to-day needs. Yes, even baby products.
Now, we've got your bank account details, and we played the video. If someone has got clothing or toys, even something that they're just sitting in a box not being used, how can they contact you to actually get those to you?
They can call me on my cell, because my cell is always on 24 hours a day, on 072 512 7227.
Okay, 072 512 7227.
That's right, yes.
Okay, look, I'll put that in the...
If I may just take the opportunity, may I also ask, we are Kuselos in a urban area, if I can call it that, a residential area. We've only got a 3-bedroom little house. Sorry. If we may ask, if there's any donors or funders that are, that's able to have properties or something like that, if we can get a property that is bigger, we can serve more children, because unfortunately we can only house and care for 18 kids according to the size of the property, which is very, very small. But if we can get a bigger property, we can assist many more children.
Right. Okay, so you're looking for a bigger home, basically, or maybe a second home that you can actually put kids into. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Now, okay, let's talk about the nitty-gritty of this whole thing. First of all, how supportive are the police and the courts when it comes to abused children? Do they hear the cases early? I mean, how do you find that situation? Because it's a critical part of this, isn't it?
Well, look, it's a big challenge. It is sad because, unfortunately, in police stations, what we call the VEC unit, which is the Victim Empower unit, most of them are manned by inexperienced, unqualified people that is the person that's taking the decision whether a case is going to be opened. And that should not happen. It should not happen, but it is.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of people do not want to report child abuse cases, because the cases are taking so long in courts to be finalized, and it takes months and months and years of some cases. And at the end of the day, half of those cases are being thrown out for lack of evidence, because people are withdrawing from cases. They don't want to continue going to court every single month. And that is the saddest reality, is cases are taking too long to finalize. And it's not just the criminal side of it, but even the placement side for children that are going either for adoption or foster care. It takes so long for these foster parents to actually be approved, get background reports done, get Form 30s done. Now, the Form 30 is basically done through social development that approves foster parents that they are not on a national database for sexual offenses. Now, before they can have that child placed with them, this form needs to come back. And that takes 4 to 6 weeks. It should, but it takes much longer than that because there's such a high backlog because of COVID. So parents are not receiving these beautiful babies. And the thing is cases that should only take 90 days, according to the Children's Act, is taking months and even years before that is finalized. So people start withdrawing, and that is the saddest reality. Child protection and child placement is not a priority in South Africa anymore.
And there is a pandemic, obviously.
It is. The saddest thing is that, we should actually join forces, that we have a network of welfare, SAPs, the courts, investigators. Everybody should be working together, but there is no teamwork. There is nothing. And a lot of the times these cases fall through the cracks, and this poor child is left until they are 18 in a CYCC, because cases are not receiving the attention that it needs for these poor children to be placed out into forever homes.
Yeah. Wow. I love the word forever homes. I mean, that must be like music to the ears of kids who've just never had a home.
Yes. And that is sad, because you can't start the bonding process with the new parents until you get approval by court, because you don't want to create expectation for the child or the new parent that they're going to be receiving that specific child. So at the end of the day is nobody meets nobody. And that is the sad reality, is that poor child thinks that nobody loves them, nobody cares. So Kuselo then started a program that we have at the Safe House, where we allow, just volunteers to come in, just even if they just plug in their phone and they sing little songs to these kids and dance with them and color in with them, so that they must learn not everybody hurts. That is our main focus of that program, so that that child learns that irrespective of race, irrespective of their sex or culture or anything, that child is loved by many. And that is what we are proud of, is that our children, when people walk in, they must see them smiling, they must see them laughing. And a lot of people say, but they don't look like abused children, is because they're getting all the love and attention that they need to overcome that trauma.
Yeah. Now, just on that particular point, have you considered approaching schools where you've got kids who are going into matric who are interested in getting into this sort of area, where they could get some hands-on practical experience by actually coming to Kuselo and perhaps helping? Have you considered contacting headmasters and people like that?
Yeah, we actually do. We do that as part of our community programs, where we assist teens going forward. Just one of our teens, she's just now recently turned 18. She wants to become a lawyer. So we've approached a law firm, and they've actually opted to actually pay for her intuition and things like that.
Wow.
So we're very, very active with our kids. One of our boys, I think it was about 3 years ago, he had such an amazing voice that we got him a recording deal, and he's now, making CDs and things like that, not broad out somewhere, but he's out there and he's singing, and that is what he wanted to do. So Kuselo tries and helps, even with, their parents, if they've lost their jobs. We assist by, typing out their CVs. If they've had previous qualifications somewhere, then I will phone up that employer and I'll say, listen, I'm a child protection officer. I'm trying to assist that family. Can you email me, say, the qualifications that you've got of that person on file, and they will email it through to me, and I will assist them going forward, getting jobs and things like that, so that they can move in from. I don't know if you guys will know, but here in South Africa we've got a lot of families living in actual tents or what we call makeshift houses. So they will put sails and things over trees, and that's where the children will live. So we're going to assist them by helping them to get employment so that they can then move out into a back room, which is a safer home environment for those kids to live in.
Yeah, look, I think what is so desperately sad is that when you think of this pandemic that's happening, as you say, just down the road from people living in South Africa, that the mainstream media are so focused on politics and so focused on COVID that they give absolutely little or no attention to this real pandemic that's hurting young people.
Definitely, the media doesn't cover stories of children. Unfortunately, with the POPI Act, you can't just go and send things out, but the saddest reality is that you can bring it to the attention of the community, that these are your resources that you can use. Yeah. These are the outlets. These are the people that you can complain to, that can assist. So those resources aren't being brought out to the community, especially to the children. There should be children's programs that basically go out and instead of having, the same movie being rerun 30, 40 times a month, go out and create programs for kids that tells them in their own little age-appropriate ways. These are the places you can go access these things, that say even like with child rape. Kids don't know that this is a form of child abuse. They think that this is normalcy, that, daddy, uncle, my brother, if they do these sexual acts, this is part of how I'm being loved. Programs like this should be rerun to say that is not normal, that is not love, that kind of thing.
You know what I find extraordinary, Amanda, is that the schools in South Africa now are, as part of their curriculum, teaching children about sex from the age of 7 and pushing things like LGBTQ. Kids don't have that ability to grow up normally anymore. It is. What are your thoughts on that? Have you seen the results of that, the fruits of what they're now doing and teaching kids in schools?
Yes, definitely. The saddest part of it is that you have teachers that are not qualified, and they haven't got much knowledge of what they are teaching kids. They are just quickly Googling something because they need to talk about it quickly in the class the next day. They're not telling the child the full impact of what their sessions are all about.
Yeah.
Just to give an example, you have teachers that's basically telling children that you've got rights. So you can, from the age of 12, you can do what you want, you can stay where you want to, and your parents can't do anything. That is not it's not what the Children's Act is trying to do. Basically, the Children's Act is telling you from the age of 12, you've got now a legal right to basically come forward and report matters. You can be held liable if you are committing crimes, which whether it's murder, whether it's rape, whether it's assault. From the age of 12, you can now legally be held accountable for those behavioral issues. That is where that age bracket comes in. But teachers are telling kids that you can do what you like. Your parents can't beat you anymore, then you can run to the police station and you can have them up for assault. But they're not telling the children that the aftermath of what those behaviors and what is the consequences for those actions if you do A, B, C, D, E. That is the saddest reality of it.
Well,
you are seeing kids being bullied at school, but teachers are not doing their ethical responsibility of reporting it to the headmasters. And if it is reported to headmasters, they are not reporting it to the social worker who's appointed over that school to handle those cases. So a lot of these kids are constantly being bullied. It's getting out of hand to a point where children are committing suicide because they are not getting the help and the support they need at schools.
It's an explosive mix. You're teaching kids from the age of 7 about sex, and then from the age of 12, they can do what they like. I mean, no wonder there's so many teenage parents with young babies, because the whole thing is just totally out of control. Let's get back to Kuselo, though, because, I mean, it's just a disaster in South Africa.
Yes.
What is the one thing that makes Kuselo different from another organization in your area?
It's our 24-hour service. Just going out, being there for children in need of care and protection. There isn't another organization that is a 24-hour service. If you look at even at your welfare institutions, they only work from Monday to Friday. You look at your SAPS officials, they only there per their shift. Where we are there round the clock, the same person dealing with the same case 24/7 until the child their case is resolved. So that is where the difference comes in. Kuselo is round the clock. We give 24-hour care to that child the minute they come in until the minute they leave. And even 3 months later, we check up on that child to make sure that when they are placed out, that they are happy, they are sorted, their life is just going forward, and they can grow to their potential. So that is what makes us different to any other institution.
Right. Now, we've touched on your budget and obviously these hard times because of the lockdown, and a lot of businesses who used to support you closing down. What are the operational challenges of your NPO?
Obviously it's funds first, because, if you look at our budget, we need about 60,000 per month. That is just for salaries of the care workers, the rent of the home, water and lights, because to look after 13 kids for our municipal costs is quite a lot of money. Also, for my vehicle that does the 24-hour service, it's quite a bit of money, so obviously finances is the first thing. Then, just day-to-day running costs like food, toiletries, cleaning products, things like that. It's quite a big challenge for us lately because we've lost a lot of donors, as I said, so we don't have that coming in anymore. Also with the kids that are in schools and things like that, we need stationery, we need, like educational toys, things like that can keep the kids occupied and mentally occupied. Because if we don't have, fresh little toys that we can throw out every second, third day, the kids become bored. And when they're bored, they become destructive. And when they are destructive, then they think of their past trauma. And then all your hard work that you've put in to counsel this child and help them to overcome, it's completely breakdown, and they melt down, and then we're straight back to where we started. So just a simple thing like a second-hand toy makes the world of difference in the lives of these kids.
Right. Well, I love that analogy of the Nigerian kid who has never seen a marble in his life before, and someone gives him a marble, and, he is the happiest kid on earth because he's got a marble. And then you take the son of, let's say, Elon Musk. Can you imagine if he got a marble for his birthday? He would say, you got to be joking. He'd just throw it in the face of the person who gave it to him. This is the reality of life, is that everybody has their own perception of happiness. And it's so much easier to make someone who's really poor happy than it is someone who's got it all. Because all they're looking for is the bigger and the better and the whatever. So, look, I can understand that when it comes to these kids who've got nothing, it's really easy to provide something that makes them happy. Now, let's touch on the children who are placed at Kuselo. Many of the children placed there are children removed from their homes due to severe physical and sexual abuse. Do you want to go into how you actually arrange the children? Because it goes into an age group as well as basically what the traumatic conditions were.
Yes, at Kuselo, we are registered to house from 0 to 6 years. Specifically because we do not have the funds to, drive these kids up and down to various schools because they're in protective custody. So our babies are basically from 0 to 2 years in our infant room, if I can call it that, our little nursery, and then from 2 to 6. They then split up into 2 separate rooms, obviously boys and girls and things like that. And then we've got our, in our ECD program, we've got the age-appropriate classes and programs that we do with these kids. Right.
Now, it's something I forgot to mention when we were talking about your budget and money and stuff like that. If someone's listening who's got a business and they're able to provide, let's say, a monthly amount towards your running costs, can they claim that for tax, against tax?
Yes, definitely. Kuselo is also registered as a Section 18A, which is tax exempted. So most definitely, yes. Yes, they can.
Right. Okay. In fact, I think I've got those documents here. I might just put them up on the screen so that people can see them. Give me a second. Just while I'm doing that, is there a message you'd like to give to businesses as to how they can play an active part in helping you?
Yes, please. With businesses, it would be amazing if not just with funding, if businesses are out there and, they are, say, retail stores and they supply to retail stores with food products, even if it's just their damaged goods or unsold goods. We use practically everything. We make sure that even if there is food items that are brought in, we make sure that it is fit for human consumption before we even give it to these children. So we ask that it's not just monetary value, that if there's any items that we can use, even with wet wipes, a lot of the times the wet wipe actually goes dry and then it's basically destroyed. But we can make use of that because we put it into the nappy, especially with our little rape victims or children that come in with severe neglect that, they are burnt from being placed in a nappy for so long that they've got severe nappy rashes and things like that. So we actually put double layered into the nappy, so that basically is a softer cushion for these babies, and it helps in the healing process. So it's a lot of little things, anything that we can make use of to care for these babies and just make their day a little bit gentler, a little bit softer, just a little bit more smilier. Anything would happen, even if it's just a sucker, a toy, a something, anything would be appreciated.
Right. Okay. Well, so if there's anyone here who's got a business who's able to provide financial support to Kuselo, I will put Amanda Coetzee's phone number down below this video so you can contact her directly. And if you do that, the money you pay is tax deductible. And I've just shown a couple of documents on the screen which confirm that fact. Back to you, Amanda.
No, thank you. I don't know if there's people also that has solar panels, or, even if it's gas little lights, or those little lights that you put on that don't need electricity, or just refills gas bottles and things like that. Because, here in South Africa, we are battling with load shedding. So they've started load shedding all over again. So for 8 hours a day, the safe house is without electricity.
Wow.
So we often have to sit in the dark with all of these children, and it's, every hour on the hour's nappy changes and things like that. So if there's anybody that can support with that as well, that would also be amazing.
Okay. Now, let's talk about sustainability. We know that Kuselo is not government funded, and you don't receive any financial assistance from any government departments because they are just a complete and utter disaster. So you rely solely on the generosity of the public and community.
That's right.
Now, how do most of that 60,000 Rand come through? Is that just from donations from people?
Yes. What people will do is what is totally amazing, and we actually invite people that want to come through to Kuselo, just first see, before you just decline our request, come see what we do, come see the work that my staff is doing, see those beautiful faces. Then they basically can just come in, just say, listen, I'm prepared to do A, B, C, D, E, or I can just spend time with the kids. I can't maybe, pay for anything, or I can't donate anything because they're battling themselves, any kind of support. So, people just phone in and they say, listen, I've seen you on Facebook or on WhatsApp or whatever, can I give you 500 Rand? Can you send me your banking details? So that is how word of the mouth has spread, and that is where 2 of our donors have come forward, and they're assisting us now with rent and things like that. But, donors are not permanent, if you understand what I'm saying. So one month you would have a donor that gives you, say, 2 grand or 5 grand, to pay towards salary, and the next month you don't find them. So we need committed donors and funders that can at least either sign, say, an MOU or something like that, to at least just to help us for 6 months or 12 months, so that we can get on our feet and just do what we need to do to continue the services that we do.
Right. Now, Amanda, I'm going to wrap up this live stream soon. We've been going for about an hour, and I think we covered pretty well everything we needed to. And look, you've done a fantastic job. I know you were nervous before we started, but you seem to have settled into it beautifully.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the future prospects of Kuselo. What's your vision?
Well, my vision is just to grow, to grow in a sense that I can aid more children, to get a bigger property, to care for more kids, financially be sound enough that I can employ more staff, pay the staff that is now working for me, that literally works a 24-hour shift, and they're getting a very bare minimum little salary. They hardly see their families. So that is the commitment. That's why I said earlier, to pay people at least a salary that they can say, I'm working for something too, in their home environment. So, if we can get a bigger place, more money, obviously, if we can get another vehicle, because my vehicle, I've only got one vehicle, and I've got to do, the cases, the collections of the donations, take the kids to court sessions, to clinics, to hospitals, to whatever. We're battling with one vehicle. So even if we can get maybe a second-hand vehicle that another staff member can do the daily trips, that needs to be done with these little kids, because you can just imagine 18 kids per day that must go to a clinic, to a doctor, to home visits. It becomes a little bit too much. So that would assist really a lot, just helping us with day-to-day runnings of the safe house.
Right. It must make you really sick when you hear stories like Ramaphosa sells one of his bulls to his brother-in-law, Matsepe, for 2.1 million rand. And I don't think I've ever heard of Ramaphosa donating anything to a charity. But that's...
No, it is sad, people that unfortunately, they've got other priorities. And that is what I'm advocating for, is that child protection services is not a priority in South Africa. So when you have people that's got millions of rands, they donate to much bigger organizations, in the sense that you have these big institutions that can house, say, 100 to 160 children. They are getting all the government support. They are getting all the contracts. They're getting the month-to-month, what do you call them, grants and things like that. And us as little people that's doing the groundwork, we are not being supported in any way.
Yeah, no, it's just tragic. Now, Amanda's a message you'd like to give to people before we wrap up this live stream? Just anything on your mind?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please. If I may, I just want to take the opportunity just to basically thank our community and our public out there that's been supporting Kuselo for the last 4 years in Gauteng. Without them, we couldn't be doing what we are doing. So I don't want to just mention names, because I'm going to forget somebody, and, it won't be fair on them. But, just a special thank you to the community for all their love and their support that they've given these kids that's passed through our doors. You guys have been amazing, and you've been the pillar of our community. And on behalf of those kids, I just want to say a special thank you. I also would like to thank, you and all the people that you guys work with, from Loving Life, and sorry, I'm looking on my page, from Loving Life and Marlene and you, bringing the voice out there, being the voice for children that hasn't got a voice or not able to speak for themselves, giving us this platform has been amazing. And thank you for the opportunity. It really means the world. Thank you.
Now, there's something else that Loving Life can do for you. We have a forum. As long as you're registered on Loving Life, you can actually put articles, or someone in your staff can just add articles about what's happening with Kuselo, and obviously promote the concept of donations being required and stuff like that. So we have a huge mailing list we send out every day by email to a huge number of people, and they're all around the world, although largely in South Africa. And what I'm very happy to do is to get Nat Quinn, who does a fantastic job on our forum, to set up a page for you, where
that would be amazing.
Yeah, someone can actually put these articles in, what your needs are, etc., etc., etc. And if you put an article in, it will actually go out as a separate link within that newsletter, which goes to this huge global audience. So all you have to do is to start getting those articles onto the forum. What I'll do is I'll through Marlena, I'll get you, or put you in touch with Nat, so that she can actually set that up for you.
No, that would be amazing. We'll really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
Now, you do have a WhatsApp group as well, don't you?
Yes.
How do people
join that? It's not very big, but it's me.
How do people join that?
Well, basically, people that come through to Kuselo, and they want to be a part of the Kuselo group, because a lot of people, they're so sick and tired of being added to many groups, and it's just a whole lot of backwards and forwards chatting on there. But on Kuselo's group, we do not really ask for anything on the group. We basically just post little, little happenings of the kids, just to say that we've had, say, one child of 2 years old come in, that is his name, and then we'll just send out another little post saying that this little child with this name is leaving next week, as he was blessed to find another child, or we send little posts out. But it's not a backwards and forwards little chat group as a normal chat group, no.
Alrighty. All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Amanda. And look, let's keep in touch, and we'll see if we can get you back later in the year for another live stream. But Marlena is obviously the one who will organize that. But yeah, look, we have...
No, thank you very much.
Oh, look, you're very welcome. And I've got to say, I'm just the host. I've got such an amazing team of people working behind the scenes on Loving Life. And you've met one of them, Marlena. And Nat Quinn has confirmed that she would love to, or she will set up that page for you. So I see her in the side chat here. So
thank you.
What I'll do is I'll get Marlena to put you both in touch so that Nat can take you through the process. And yeah, welcome aboard.
But thank you very much for taking the time and inviting us to chat. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Take care, Amanda.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
All right, guys. That was Amanda Coetzee, a lovely lady from Kuselo. And you can see the sort of work that they do, which they get absolutely no support from this corrupt gangster ANC government. And yet they plod on regardless. I mean, really, if you guys can help them, please do. Their bank account details are below this video in the description. And just watch out for their articles in the daily newsletter. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this live stream up. And as is now tradition, I'll go out with our Hier bly ek boer. And I'll leave the side chat open for a few minutes so people can say their goodbyes. Let me just find where am I gotta go. Okay. Oh my gosh, where is my link? Oh, here we are. I've got it. I got it. I knew it was here somewhere. Okay, here we go. Hier bly ek boer.
Meer as 61,000 van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land. Die is my reg. Hier is ek boer. Stop is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. So diep in die nacht sal die vyand kom, maar hier bly ek staan en ek draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Soos blasem in die somer wat vreugde bring, my oupa wat maniekiero kon sing, soos hy stap deur die lande. Hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. My seun soos my pa los ek vir jou die land, en jy hoef nie te vrees nie. Hier sal jy boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet,
die liefsal kom, 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 die liefsal kom.
Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. En die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land waar met ek jou